In the summer of 2016,
it is currently July 24th, 2016.
I visited the Philippines for 1 month.
So today, or this whole month, we are going to the Philippines.
And it changed my life. Let's start from the beginning.
Bye guys.
We packed our bags, made sure we didn't forget anything,
My purple sweater, I don't know where it is.
I think he packed it.
headed for the airport, told some jokes on the
Mom,
way
are you
there.
gonna miss me? Ate, are you gonna miss me?
No, I'm not.
Are you gonna miss me?
No, I'm only gonna miss Ate.
Okay.
No, not you.
We made it to the airport
We're going on a trip.
and said our goodbyes.
So, what would you like to say?
First time here.
Yay.
I'm sorry that I can't go. We're broke.
Okay, hi.
We love you.
And we began our 15-hour journey to Philippines.
It was so cool. We got to skip the line, the security.
Did I mention who I was going to the Philippines with? Meet my grandma. I call her Mama.
Say hi. Hi. I don't know. Anyone who watches this.
Despite how funny she could be,
Yeah.
she hates the camera.
お前はもう死んでいる。
We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. Zooming through the sky. Little lights light up.
11 hours later, we made it to the homeland.
Hi, Mama.
We haven't quite made it to our destination. We had a 1-hour connecting flight to Legazpi, which is in the province of Albay.
It is 6:51 a.m. in Manila.
Hey, I was looking at a photograph from before you left, reminding me of places we used to go, but it makes no difference. Hey, and if I could rewind the time to when you were mine, it wouldn't cover up all the scars you left, 'cause it makes no difference.
Meet my cousins Razel and Shira. They're the very first cousins I met here in the Philippines.
Happy Bernadette and Joy. Hello.
During the first week, we didn't do much.
Mama.
We just relaxed, explored the town, and ate at different restaurants. To get around, we mainly used a tricycle. Basically, that thing.
お前はもう死んでいる。
Say hi.
And yeah, my grandma hasn't warmed up to the whole vlogging thing yet. This is my auntie Judith. She's my mom's sister. She's Shira's mom.
You're beautiful.
That weekend, we went on a 12-hour bus ride to Manila.
Going to Manila.
Once we got there, we took a taxi to Quezon City and stayed at my grandma's sister's place, my Lola Vilma.
Hi, Kevin.
This was my first time riding a Jeep, and as you can see, I was really excited.
Say hi.
We went to Ninoy Aquino Park's Wildlife Center. There was so much exotic animals that I've never seen in person before.
Yeah, I'm so happy there.
There's no.
Mini zoo.
It's closed.
Out of all the animals that we've seen there, I think my personal favorite would be the monkeys. After visiting the Wildlife Center, we got some ice cream and took a walk to Quezon City, then Memorial Circle. Meet my Uncle Ray. He's my grandma's eldest child, and he is Razel's dad. He's the one who took care of us the entire trip.
Search my face now. Well, I could tell you're not done, and I would usually run, but I don't mind if you stay by my side and never let go. I don't mind if you.
The next day, we took a bus to Laguna City to visit my grandma's family friend, Uncle Arthur.
Yay! We're in a private jeep.
Sort of a private jeep. The jeep belongs to my Uncle Arthur. He gave us a ride to my Auntie Beth's house.
I'm okay. Hi, you can vlog for me.
Madilim.
No, it's not.
That night, we stayed at my Auntie Beth's house. I met a lot of my cousins from my dad's side. We left the morning after. We went back to Uncle Arthur's place and I met the cutest baby ever. That night, we went on a 12-hour bus ride to Tobacco City. Sumakay kami sa padjak.
Sabihin mo, sumakay kami sa padjak. You can say it. Sumakay kami sa padjak. Papuntang bayan.
This tricycle, or padjak, is different because it is not powered by a motorcycle, but is powered by a person pedaling on a bike. We traveled to Odolo, which happens to be where my Auntie Judith lives. This is also the same area where my grandma grew up and where my mom, aunt, and uncle grew up.
Now your eyes open up every morning to the
Meet Dudoy. He's my cousin's dog and he loves to be petted.
and I see it in yours too.
I got it.
So now I sing to
Sorry, chicken.
My aunt has a jackfruit tree in the backyard. Fun fact, jackfruit is actually one of my favorite fruits, right next to mangoes. Meet my cousin John. He's a year younger than me and he is extremely shy. You'll see more of him at the end of the video. Meet my uncle Romeo. He's very hardworking and like my cousin John, he's also very shy. Random story, but once I accidentally locked him out of the house.
Hindi yan ba yun?
No,
Iba yan.
it is a mountain.
Bono yan. Hindi yan buhay.
We are headed to Legazpi to visit one of our neighbors from Canada. Meet Tita Olivia. She's a very close family friend of ours.
Papa, ang lalaki na.
We made it to Legazpi. This is my Kuya Jake. He is 2 years older than me and is studying to become what I call a food doctor. He is the brother of John and Shira. And yes, he is shy.
Bilis mo naman magkuha. Grabe itong babae na to. Ayan bangka.
Look, a boat. Oh my god.
We went back to Odolo. We took a walk to see crops and we visited the house my grandma grew up in.
Can I ride it?
Bakit na puro puti?
Hi.
I was literally in awe. The palm trees are so tall and beautiful. The whole scenery was just something I've never seen before in my whole entire life. I was literally blown away. This is the exact house my grandma grew up in. It's abandoned now and probably haunted.
This is the poo of the Calabao. It is a pancake, according to Mama.
This is their farmland. This is where they grow crops to sell.
Mama!
Ay, ang dami nakuha. Ayan pa
Shira, say hi.
That night there was a brownout. What Shira and I did to keep ourselves entertained was that we played with matches and candles. We also let our imagination run wild and pretended that the whole house was haunted. Meet Lola Adila. She's my grandma's second last youngest sibling. This is the first time they've seen each other in 15 years. Basically, they haven't seen each other since my grandma moved to Canada.
Tama pa dahil namin video mo. Baka naman pinipot na ka.
This is Lolo Poloy. He's my grandma's cousin. And this is Lola Ingo, or Domingo. He's my grandma's eldest sibling and only brother.
This duck is so cute.
This is a cacao. This is where cocoa comes from. This cacao in particular was not ripe at the moment. Therefore, the bean tasted sour and not sweet.
Kuting niya. Tapos iluluwa mo yung pinaka-buto niya.
This is how my cousin catches chicken. Don't worry, the chicken isn't hurt or anything. It's just really shook. On this particular day, it was my grandma's birthday. We visited the St. John the Baptist Parish Church, and it is the largest church in Tobacco City. And this is where my mom was baptized.
Hi. Happy birthday, Mom. How do you feel?
I feel mura na okay.
Hi.
Binibidyo tayo ni.
Now we were just preparing food for my grandma's birthday party.
We are currently trying to go down this really steep hill, and it's so hard.
I know it doesn't look steep, but trust me, it was really steep. Out of all of the adventures on this trip, this was my favorite.
Tatay siya.
We walked so far, I didn't even know where we were headed. I honestly felt like a little kid again, heading out into the world and not knowing what's there to come. It was amazing. This is abaca. It is a leaf that is similar to a banana leaf, but here it is dried and stripped to be used for many different things like nets, ropes, and cloth. My grandma told me that she used to do this when she was younger.
Hello.
Ah, yun, tingnan mo. Tumatay yung isang kalabaw doon, no? Ay! Tumataiyak. Baka tapos magtayo, parang walang nangyari.
Now we had a family trip to Borcel Nature Spring Resort in Tobacco City.
Mama.
Yung dalawa, nakawan mo.
お前はもう死んでいる。
Hi.
Si Jen.
I think the best part about this trip to the swimming pool is that I got to bond with my cousins. I always was jealous of my friends who had big families in Canada, and honestly, that day I really got to experience that. Even if it was for a little while.
Hi.
Hello!
Here, they are peeling the coconut husks. My grandma said that her and her family used to do this when she was a little kid. Prior to this trip, I wrote a bucket list. One of the things that I wrote on the bucket list was to ride a carabao. This one was still a baby, so this was the closest I could get to riding one. And it was still pretty cool. Here, we were on the way to the Mayan rest house. It is basically a tourist destination on the Mayan volcano. It also has a planetarium, and the views were very, very beautiful. Sadly, we went during the rainy season. Therefore, we couldn't see the top of the volcano since it was so cloudy, even though it was still very beautiful.
Hi, Lola! Una mo special na yan laging.
We went to San Lorenzo Beach in Tobacco City. It was the final trip of the vacation and a memorable one. My cousins and I finally got close and we warmed up to each other.
Hi! Welcome to my house!
At one point during this trip, I stepped on a sea urchin and it really hurt. And that was it. Next thing I knew, I was in the car.
To your ethics.
Bags packed and headed to the airport.
Say hi. Fire. I know. The water looks so high, like, Mama. Hi.
Then I was on a plane. And it took off.
She must be the sunlight, shines a little more tonight. I know I tried to make her mine, but at the same time,
And we made it back to Canada. Back to reality. So, you must be thinking, how exactly did this 1 month trip change my life? Well, simple. I experienced the real life of where my family originated from. No, not the 5-star hotels or the high-class resorts and beaches, but the farmland. And it's now one of my most favorite places on this planet. I really got to understand family. Out of my 15 years of living on this planet, I really got to understand a part of who I am for the very first time. Meeting my cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, extended family, it was really amazing. My experience there opened my eyes and I saw that the world is a huge place, filled with many different kind of people, lives, experiences, and customs. I've lived in a city in Canada my whole entire life, and the way of life there is so different from the life in Philippines. This trip made me want to travel to many different places and learn more about people and their customs. I learned so much there, and it's an experience I for sure will never, ever forget.